What's going on, everybody? Championship weekend. It is me, your host, Rob, aka King Coakley. I'm here with Andre. Andre, are you excited for these AFC, NFC championship games that we have going on today? We got Chiefs Bengals, we got Eagles 49ers. How are you feeling? It feels like the season went by so fast and we're already at the championship weekend?
Yes, it does. I'm actually very excited because my second favorite team in the NFL, being the Cincinnati Bengals, are playing today and going to take down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs once again. But other than that, I think it's going to be a good couple games here. I really, really, really like the matchup between these two teams, between these two divisional games that we have here for the conference championship. And it should be interesting, but I feel like there's pretty much two winners already decided that I have in my mind and how I'm going to build today. So I'm very, really interested to talk about that and see what you have in mind.
You must be a little upset that I have this Patrick Mahomes helmet right over my shoulder here, this signed Mahomes helmet. And I had to switch out my 49ers helmet, throw an Eagles one over there just because it's championship weekend. And to be honest, AFC championship game, I'm fine with either of those teams winning. I do want the Eagles to beat the 49ers, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about some DFS. But before we do that, everyone's playing DFS today, and we're all betting on these games, right? And if you're betting on these games and you're having some trouble figuring out how you want to do it, over at Scores and Odds, we got you covered. We're your number one place for all things sports betting. Check it out. Everything you need to be a better sports bettor, including our parlay tool with automated Fanduel sports integration. You set up your bets right in the tool. We integrate it right over to Fanduel. Can't be easier than that, right? And build your optimized same game parlay based on data from thousands of simulated games with a click of a button. And boom, you can bring that slip directly into the FanDuel Sportsbook. So if you're doing straight bets, if you're doing parlays, if you're doing same game parlays, Scores and Odds has you covered for every single one. But what we're here to talk about today, Dre, is this DFS slate. I know we were talking a little earlier. You're doing a lot of the MME entering. I'm focusing on high stakes single entry. So we're going to have some good viewpoints on both sides of this today. And why don't we just kick things off with this Eagles 49ers game, since that's the earlier of the two games. Do you get thrown off by these times during championship weekend? I'm on the East Coast. Instead of getting the 1 o'clock games, now I got to do like that 3:30 thing. Throws me slightly, just a little bit, but we'll start with that one.
Yeah, me definitely for sure too, because I'm in New York, so it's hard to get used to these games being at 3 and 6:30, and I have to work today. And I was looking forward to being able to at least watch one of these games today at some point. Hoping I will start at 8, but it is what it is. But these are weird times for them to have a start time, but I think that it's overall going to be two good and great and exciting games.
All right, so let's start talking about the Eagles 49ers. Do you have a specific spin on this game? The way that you're going to attack this game is your quarterback in this game. That's one way that I've been approaching this, looking at the quarterbacks and the ownership percentage on them. Are you playing just straight up Jalen Hurts because he's got the best ceiling? Are you completely fading Brock Purdy? I know you're MMEing. How are you approaching the quarterback position in this game?
See, I tend I tend to try to be a very really really aggressive player, but also tend to figure out what what their defenses do. So I'd like watch the games throughout the season and figure things out. I'm really just on Jalen Hurts here. I'm not on Brock Purdy at all. More so just because of the way their defense plays. I think a way to attack the San Francisco defense is through the air because their secondary is the weakest part of their game. Yep. So therefore, I'm going to try to target Jalen Hurts and his passing and his wide receivers that he has. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, they're going against Philadelphia. Philadelphia has an amazing secondary. They have a lot of guys. They have a lot of depth in the secondary. So I want to attack probably more so with Chris McCaffrey if I'm going to run with anybody on San Francisco, or possibly even the tight end. But they even play the tight end really well. But that's probably their weakest link of the three levels of the skill players. I would say is the weakest point would be probably the tight end in the middle of the field a little bit, but Chris McCaffrey would be there's like a really close second, if not tied for first with Kittle here in this spot.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. And like when I MME, especially in like a 2-game slate like this, I immediately look at what the lowest owned quarterback's going to be. And you look at Purdy and you see that he's at like 11% ownership. And like, you're like, man, I really want to take that play because you get such the edge there. But I think this is one of those weeks that we can just throw Brock Purdy out. Like it hurts because you want to. It's 5.3K, it's
Yep.
11% ownership. Everything tells you like this is the value play. This allows you to jam some other guys in that you want to get together. Like you said, we want Kittle, we want Christian McCaffrey, we want some really big pieces on the other side of the other game, right? And we also like want AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. So I'm with you. Jalen Hurts I'm still trying to figure out my single entry lineup, and I'm juggling between Hurts, Mahomes, and Burrow, but I'm honestly not even considering Purdy on this slate, which is unfortunate. Let's move over to running back. You did bring up Christian McCaffrey, and I did have a take that I was going to fade Christian McCaffrey today. And then we start seeing the injury report. We see Elijah Mitchell not practicing throughout the week. And this is really starting to change the way that I'm looking at this particular spot. How about you?
Yeah, same here. He's going to pretty much go back to being the workhorse here. But I also do look for other guys to get involved here because Kyle Shanahan in the championship game is going to leave it all on the line. So a guy like Kyle Juszczyk, I think, is someone that you have to consider here. Just for goal line purposes, he's a gadget guy. He can catch the ball in the backfield. So if you're like multi-entering like me, Kyle Juszczyk is someone I think I might want to have in my pool. Have like maybe him like one or two of my lineups, depending on how many you're running. But I think that he's a good GPP option. But Christian McCaffrey might end up having to be a lock today at 8K, just because of the work he's going to get. It's just hard to fade him in that situation with Elijah Mitchell not practicing. Honestly.
Yeah, and you're talking about how they might bring out, like, they're throwing everything against the wall. If Elijah Mitchell's not good to go, or if he's going to be playing really, really limited, we're going to get into wide receivers. Debo might be the second running back on this team today, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. As far as the Eagles go, I'm not going to go back to that Kenneth Gainwell. God, he just made it so hard with his name there, right? Most of his work was done in the fourth quarter last week. I think it was over 90 yards rushing, and the touchdown was in the fourth quarter. They were just in a dominant spot against the Giants. I actually do expect the Eagles to win this game. I don't want to say easily, but I think by at least a touchdown today. So I don't think you're going to see Gainwell on the field quite as much as you did last week in like some relief work. But let's talk about Miles Sanders, because they have a price on him that you look at and you have to kind of double take because you would assume he'd be more money. But the matchup is so hard against these 49ers. Are they trying to tempt us in at 5.2K on DraftKings to play him?
I think they really are, and it's kind of tough not to. But I'm just sticking to. I'm just gonna try to make sure I stick to my principles here and think to how I think my game script is going to go. Mm-hmm. Granted, he can get in on if they get down on the goal line, but I kind of expect Jalen Hurts to take that because their front seven is just so good.
Yeah,
it's just so good. So there's not a way in the world where I see that Miles Sanders can, at his size, can really just run up the middle and get in the end zone. So unless it's like a big gap and he just runs for like a good like 60 yards, 40 yards run for a touchdown. Other than that, I don't think I can have him today, even at this price. I think I'm going to just have to fade him and take the route of the receivers and take chances on those guys.
Yeah, I'm not building my lineup through Miles Sanders. It's one of those things that where like if two of my last guys, Miles Sanders helps make sense, I guess maybe he'll be my second running back. I really want to find lineups where I can build through Mixon and CMC, but that's a lot of money. So I also want some of these wide receivers that we're going to get into. So Miles Sanders is a guy that I'm not fading on purpose, but I'm not looking to get in my lineup if I can help it. Other than that, for the Eagles, I mean, again, I told you I'm not really looking at Kenneth Gainwell, which means I'm also not really looking at Boston Scott. So in this game for running back, I do think CMC is probably a lock. And I just think it's one of those times where we don't get Q. Sometimes we're trying to, fade chalk. And I just think CMC is just an easy lock on this slate, and you just figure it out from there. We're going to get over into the wide receivers on this game. I do want to give a shout out to Jeffrey, Kit, and Galaxy that are in the chat right now. Shout out to you guys for watching this show at 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's jump over to wide receivers in this game. So I am totally on board with you. The way to beat the 49ers in this game is on the outside with the wide receivers. Oh, and guess what? The Eagles have two of the best in the league with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. Their target share is absolutely bonkers for a team. They target the wide receivers as one of the top teams in the league. I think they're top 3, possibly even top 2 in that category. And when they target wide receivers, they're targeting A.J. Brown, they're targeting Devonta Smith. I just think that for me, 7K A.J. Brown, 6.8K Devonta Smith, I love both of them today. And I know we're showing that the ownership on A.J. Brown is a smidge higher, but I wouldn't be shocked if people go to Devonta Smith. I think people are starting to fall into that well, which, again, I'm fine with Devonta Smith, but if I have to take one of the two, dude, A.J. Brown is just unbelievable. And when he goes off, he goes off.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And the thing about this is, like, I do like A.J. Brown a lot, and I do like Devonta Smith a lot. Distinguishing the two is kind of hard. Like, with snap count, we see Devonta Smith on the field a little bit more than A.J. Brown, which is kind of weird to see, honestly. And he runs a little bit more routes, a little, like, just by a hair, but that's, like, otherwise than that, they're mostly in the middle. Air yards is a big factor in this too, I think, too. So people probably maybe try to target the big plays, and that's what Devonta Smith has more of than A.J. Brown. So I definitely can see that. But for a site like DraftKings, I think A.J. Brown is probably the better play, just because of the simple fact that the targets, the mid rate, the midfield targets, in the 5 to 15 yard range, and them comeback routes, them in routes. So I would definitely play A.J. Brown a lot here. He's going to get targeted a lot, probably at least 10 times here, I can see. So he would be my guy I would go with. But in this type of environment, you want to you're trying to take down like $1 million, which I'm going to try to do today. You
Right.
want to try to go like game stack. You want to go heavy on it. So obviously playing both would be fine. I really would love to play a guy like Quez Watkins here too, but his target share is so low, only like 10% on the season, and he really does not get on the field that much. 43% of the snaps though, in week 18 was fine, and 58 overall in the season. From what I'm looking at from what we have on Grinders IQ, it makes things really interesting for him as a GPP play, but you have to get lucky and get that one touchdown, because if he doesn't score, he's going to sink your whole lineup.
Yeah, I mean, but he could also be one of those guys that catch a 50-yard bomb, right, and get you 6 points or something like that. And I think you might see him on the field a little bit more against the 49ers, because I think that they need to throw the ball more in this spot, whereas like they were been grinding out wins with the run. The Eagles will take what you give them. And I think that's why you've seen like Philip Dorsett on the field a little bit more than Quez Watkins, because they've been running the football a lot more the last couple of weeks that they've been playing, trying to keep Jalen Hurts healthy, also taking what the defense gives them. I think bringing up the point that stacking A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts is a great call. If I do run a Jalen Hurts team in my single entry, I think it will be double stacked with the two of those. I'm not going to say that 100% yet, but I do think that's a way to play and maybe get just a little bit of leverage on everybody else playing these guys, because I do think that everyone that's playing either a Burrow or a Mahomes team is looking to play one or the other. So one way to get slightly different, it's not going to be fully different, but is to play both of them together. Before we start talking about these San Fran wide receivers, shout out to Positive Grouch, reminding us that it's 7 o'clock in San Diego, which is true. Thank you for watching on the West Coast at 7 a.m. We got Giant Valdez in the chat as well. Thanks for watching. So let's get into these San Fran wide receivers, because I think there's some interesting things going on with these guys based on their pricing. We got Debo at 5.7K. We got Brandon Ayuk at 4.4K, which like made me double take when I saw his price this week. And we even got a guy like Jawan Jennings, who can get out there and do exactly what we're talking about with Quez Watkins, right? Like just get that 1 or 2 catches for like 50 or 60 yards to help you win the GPP. I want to play Kittle today, but I also want to play Travis Kelce. And I also want to play, so.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the 49ers, I want to play Kittle and I want to play Debo, but that Ayuk price is cheap. Where are you going with these wide receivers? Are you making it a point to get one of them in, or is your 49ers exposure going to be a lot of CMC Kittle?
Well, with that news being with the news pretty much coming out with Eli Mitchell, it makes me really want to try to go and target a guy like Debo Samuels today.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just we already know what he's going to do. He's going to do it all for this team if he can. Excuse me. He's going to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be involved in the passing game, in whatever way he can with Coach with Shanahan today. So, I think he's probably like I don't want to say a must play, but he's close to it because he's just the ultimate gadget guy for this team. And a guy like Brandon Ayuk is going to go underlooked and overlooked here. I think a little bit. I think his ownership is going to be a lot less than what we have him at right now, personally.
Yeah,
but I think he's also a sneaky guy here that can get open, and you want to target, and you want to find out what the weakness of I think the weakness, if I'm correct, of the Philadelphia secondary would be the inside corners, if I'm correct. So you might want to try to attack if I know Debo typically going to play in the slot, but if Ayuk sometimes goes to the slot, I think that's a good option for him as well. Also, I wanted to bring him a guy. I know this is like big GPP, like $1 million type of play. Ray McCloud, only because he does return kicks for the San Francisco 49ers. So you can have him in your lineup, and what if he returns a kickoff for a touchdown? You get the points both ways. If you have the defense as well, you get the defense and Ray McCloud for those points as well. And that could be that's very, very slim of happening, but that could be something that could bolster you up to the top end and win a GPP.
Yeah, I totally see the Ray McCloud thing. Again, not a guy I'm building through, but if you're sprinkling in, multiple lineups in these heavy, top heavy prize pools, Raymond McCloud, if I'm playing, 20 teams or more, I'm probably setting him for like 5% or something like that, just to get like 1 or 2 lineups with Ray McCloud. And hell, even in a single entry, if you can build something that you like with everybody else and you need to punt a position, a lot of people are going to punt tight end or something like that. Punt that flex position with Ray McCloud, or, obviously the wide receiver spot because they're the early game. But it's one of those things that I would be looking at doing. It's just, it's got to make sense with the rest of your lineup. For me, we're going to get into tight ends right now, but with the 49ers specifically, I think McCaffrey's a lock. And then I think you need to coin flip who you want between Debo and Kittle. Right. Like, I think I want one of those 2 guys in my lineup just because it's just with the Mitchell injury. I think that there's going to be the 49ers are going to lean on those 2 guys heavily, specifically Debo. So I'm going to be monitoring what his projected ownership is going forward. I think Debo could sneakily be one of the top 3 owned guys on the slate. They're all quarterbacks, but I think Debo has a chance to do that with the Eli Mitchell injury. We do have a question in chat: is Eli hurt? And the answer is yes. He has not been seen in any of the media portions of practice all week. There is a chance he misses this game. We're not 100% on that, but he has not been seen in media portions of practice at minimum. Let's hit on the tight ends in this game real quick. We've already kind of talked about Kittle. Is there anything else you want to hit on with him before we jump over to Dallas Goedert?
No, Kittle's a good play. He's not the best tight end play on the slate, but the second guy you're going to talk about is a guy I probably would want to go towards more a lot here. Not even just based on the price, but I think the matchup also the advantage is a little bit better with him too as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I mean, Kittle's the guy. I mean, not Kittle. Kelsey's the guy that I would want, but Kittle at 5.2 is it's a decent price. But the other guy we have is Dallas Goedert. Again, I think they're trying to tempt us with some of these price points on some of the The Eagles guys, we got him at 4.1K. Um, if he's the guy that makes your lineup fit, sure. But I don't love Dallas Goddard today against the 49ers. I'm not sure where you are on this.
I love him today. I think
Do
I think he's a good play. Um, I want to go Kittle more, but like now looking at everything, I think I'll probably more. I think more. I'll be more in line with going with Debo. Just talking with you back and forth is making me think that hey, I want all that running game and a little bit of the passing game. I think that they could just bracket Kittle a little bit more. Like if I was a defense, I would take Kittle away and try to contain Debo because I know Debo's going to mainly try to run the ball a lot. He's not going to be used for as a downfield threat like that. So as a defensive guy and thinking about it like that, I would definitely probably go more towards Dallas Goddard. Just because, like I said, the secondary is the weakest part of their team. And I would, if I was the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, I would get a little bit different and put Dallas Goddard out wide as a wide receiver, split him out there, and force one of these quarters to try to play him. That's what I would do. So that's why I love him today as an option, and I would be well over the field on him.
I think that's the way that like Dallas Goddard is going to have to get there because San Fran is real stingy in the middle. As much
Yeah.
as we're talking about the corners, they have really like locked down a lot of tight ends this season. So, in order for him to actually beat people, they might have to line him out on the outside and try to get one of those mismatches with one of the smaller corners. Getting real hand in the dirt here, huh? But I think that's how you would have to get your points from Dallas Goddard. He's not a guy I'm targeting for the Eagles. I am targeting AJ Brown. I'm targeting Devonta Smith. One of them or both of them will definitely be in my single entry lineup. But again, going GPP, we see that we got a 35% ownership. He's 4.1K. I'm more than fine with sprinkling in some Dallas Goddard. I just like some of the other tight end plays on the slate a bit more. We can hit on the defense real quick. Do you have a preference here?
It's tough. I want to say like my preference would be a guy like I want to say it's going to be a team like like Philadelphia here,
Yeah.
just for the simple fact that like the thing about this is everyone's like, oh, Brock Purdy's good, he's good. We don't know what Brock Purdy really is. He hasn't thrown an interception. He hasn't had like a really bad game yet. He's had maybe a few turnovers, but
He
nothing
tried.
like yeah.
He tried last week.
I know, but he hasn't had like a catastrophically bad game yet. And I think we can see one here. Like
I
that
do
deep,
too.
yeah. So I like the Eagles a lot here. They would be probably my favorite, one of my favorite defenses on the slate, and I would just attack it that way.
Yeah, the Eagles are my defense for this slate. As long as I can get them in, they are going to be who I go. All right, let's hop over to the game that everyone's anticipating. This 6:30 spot, Cincinnati, Kansas City. We might have a banged up Mahomes. He seems to be walking around fine. What is your take on Mahomes and Joe Burrow? We see all the colors on Joe Burrow. Everybody wants to play Joe Burrow. Is that making you want to fade him a little bit more? Are you just looking at playing Hurts, or what are you doing with this game in terms of quarterback?
I like Mahomes a little bit, but that injury still concerns me. No matter how I've had a high ankle sprain, there's no way you're 100% healthy. I don't know. He's probably getting some shots or something. They must get
Oh,
some
yeah.
special treatment there because I've had a high ankle sprain and I was in an air cast for a couple weeks. So I don't know how he's going to perform here that well. I will have a little bit of Mahomes just because it's Mahomes, but Joe Chasey, that's my guy. I
Yeah.
have to go. I have to go with him. So I think I think he's probably honestly. It's a tie between to me. It's a tie really between him and Hurts on
Hurts.
the slate. Yeah, on the slate. That's like my top overall quarterback. Because they just both do different things really, really, really well. Joe Burrow's like a quarterback. Like he
Mm.
will like as far as to like being able to throw the ball in spots where his receivers catch, understanding the defense, reading it really, really well, and taking what the defense gives him and going through his reads really quickly. So I like Joe Burrow here in this spot a lot against a Kansas City team that I think the secondary is questionable.
I've also had a high ankle sprain, and as you can see, I am the peak of masculinity, and yeah, exercise and everything like that. And it felt like it took a year for that injury to heal. However, Patrick Mahomes might be getting a little bit better of medical care than I got on my end. I would say like this is a spot that I really want to play Mahomes because of everybody's fear to play him. And even if he can't run, he's not like a super mobile quarterback. He can run when needed. He might not do that today. He still can throw for 350, get the bonus, throw for 3 touchdowns, be the number one quarterback on the slate. Problem for me is when I built my single entry like shell team, the team I came on that I really loved, I was just a bit short on Mahomes and I had to play Hurts or Burrow. And it doesn't feel like a bad thing when you have to do that. So I'm going to reevaluate. I'm going to try to get Mahomes into my single entry just because I think his ownership's going to be lower than it should be. And I think it's like a slight edge, but I'm not going to jam it if it's going to cost me other spots on the thing. And Joe Burrow 6.8. I mean, we have all the colors on there for a reason. Kansas City's defense secondary isn't the greatest. We got Jamar Chase. We got T. Higgins. We got Hayden Hurst. Tyler Boyd. We got an explosive offense here that can just go out and absolutely shred this defense. I don't hate playing Joe Burrow. It's just for single entry specifically, he's going to be so owned that I kind of want to look for a way to pivot. Multi-entering, I'm fine with playing Burrow. Like, I mean, you can't look at it too hard. There's really 3 quarterbacks to play. The ownership's going to be high on all of them in a multi-entry. So let's jump over to running back because when I started looking at this slate on like Wednesday, the first guy I wanted was Joe Mixon. I felt like Mixon, because the Eli Mitchell news wasn't there yet, I was looking at a way to fade Christian McCaffrey. I thought that if you faded McCaffrey, you definitely had to have Mixon. And I mean, the preference would be to have both of them, but I don't know if that's going to be fully possible on this slate. You said you're playing CMC. Does that mean that you're going to be looking to fade Mixon mostly, or are you going to be lower to the field?
I'm gonna try to get them both if I can, and take some chances at some wide receivers here. I think, but also this game provides me more options at running back, which I like. Because I can see McKinney, I can see Jerick McKinney having a good game. Isaiah Pacheco having a good game, but none other than also Samaje P. Ryan having a game here too. He had a good game last week.
Producer Steve going wild with Joe Mixon. Steve, is that your guy today? Is Joe Mixon your guy for the day, or are we just dancing with Mixon? Let us know.
We're just dancing.
All right, just dancing. That's what we do here.
Yep.
Loose. Early morning show, real loose.
Yep.
You were on McKinnon?
Yeah, I like Jared McKinnon today. I like Jared McKinnon, but I also do like Isaiah Pacheco here as well. Like, to me, they're both are equally like they're equally good, and it's just more so what you prefer. And I think Isaiah, to me, I probably might go more so Isaiah Pacheco because the consistency in the scoring has been there for him. He can find a way to break off a longer run here. And I think that honestly, if I was the Kansas City, I don't want to score that fast. I want to run that ball. Granted, both guys can run the ball, but I think I'd say Pacheco is more of a bigger back than McKinnon. So I would just try to bleed the clock as fast as I possibly can. But I do like Samaje P. Ryan a lot here. Like, as you see, we got Squirrel got him tagged. We always have these weird GPP plays sometimes, but I think in a game like this on a 2-game slate, he's someone that is very valuable here. Like, I was looking over at the stats yesterday. He had 5 targets in it for 5 receptions, and then he also has 7 rushing attempts. So having 12 overall times to get opportunities with the ball creates a good value for him today, especially on a slate like this. And we saw what happened when he played them the last time when Joe Mixon was out, when he had a monster game with 21 rushing attempts and 106 yards with 7 targets, and he caught 6 of them. So not only are we getting him in a running game a little bit here where he can possibly break off a long run for a touchdown, but we're getting some work in the passing game as well, which is as another passing option. So I think even playing both of them, as far as Mixon and P. Ryan, is a good strategy today. Or even playing, if you want to do all 3 of them, McCaffrey, Mixon, and P. Ryan, I don't hate that as well either.
Yeah, I don't hate that for the GPP play. For me, looking at single entry more so, if I'm not playing Mahomes, Pacheco becomes like a bigger play for me. But when I am playing Mahomes, I like McKinnon better. I do think you're going to see a higher snap share for McKinnon just because of his pass protection stuff and all that. But to your point, they might want to try to run the ball early and see if they can establish it with Pacheco. So I can see two different games playing out here. One where McKinnon's on the field a ton, one where Pacheco's on the field a ton. Like I said, I want to play Mahomes. So like if I'm doing that, I might even look at trying to get CMC, Mixon, McKinnon. If I can, it's going to be real difficult to do something like that. You're going to have to really look at the wide receiver spot and what you want to give up, or even the tight end spot, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But I love Mixon today. I do see the Samaje Perine point. I just think Mixon could be the guy you need again this week, where he just rushes for 2 touchdowns and just absolutely destroys this Kansas City offense, or is the reason that they're trying to play catch up with Mahomes throughout the game. Mm-hmm. So let's jump over to wide receiver, where we got some big boys on one side and another side that is full of complete question marks. Jamar Chase probably going to be the most owned player on the slate today. We got him projected at almost 60% right now. But we also have T. Higgins on that side of the ball, who's been a little absent, it feels like, the last 2 months. Are you locking Jamar today, or are you going to get real ballsy and fade him in some of these GPPs?
I'm going to fade him in some of them, but it's hard to fade him when he has had a great game here. Great games over the past few weeks. Like, he's just been getting such a healthy amount of the target share of this team lately. Mm-hmm. It's hard to imagine who else can do that, but that could all be for a reason here. But I think Jamar Chase is the best play, obviously one of the best receiver play next to probably AJ Brown on the slate.
Yeah,
but I also don't mind. But I think that we can see T. Higgins have a big game here because the defense. I feel like if I was any defense, I'm really going to try to double cover bracket Chase.
Jamar,
yeah, just bracket him, take him away, let Cincinnati beat me with other options. T. Higgins is a number one receiver in my opinion, and he would be a number one receiver on most teams in the league. So I think he can have a big game here. I like Tyler Boyd here as an option for Cincinnati. And those are the only two options I would get to. Besides, obviously, as far as receiver wise for this team. In that position specifically, besides obviously like Samaje Perine we mentioned, and we didn't get into the tight end position yet, but Hayden Hurts as well.
That 3.8K price tag on Tyler Boyd, it's
oh my god,
real hard not to play him. And like doing a Burrow team where you onslaught like Mixon, Higgins, Boyd, and fade Chase feels like a way to get a little bit different than the rest of the field and still have maximum upside from your roster. So that's something to look at. I know you said you're only going down to Boyd. I think if you're playing Burrow and you only have 3K left, I don't hate my punt being Trenton Irwin. They do look to him in the red zone and stuff. He could score a touchdown, especially on like a GPP. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in single entry, but he might be a guy sort of like Ray McLeod that I mix in like 5% of the time just to get him in there. But Dre, what are we doing with these Kansas City wide receivers that just Mahomes threw for 12,000 yards this year, and there hasn't been a 100-yard game by a wide receiver since week 7. What are we doing here? Like who is he throwing these passes to other than Travis Kelce? And it just blows your mind every week.
Yeah, it does. It's so confusing. It causes me to have like a headache. Like we look at the snap shares here. We have obviously Juju leading. MVS with a second at 66% snap share of the season, followed by Justin Watson, who I was surprised had 41% of the snaps. Yeah, and then Tony here as well with Sky Moore, pretty much being equal. It's tough here. I think you're playing roulette, honestly, when it comes to these wide receivers here. I do like Tony a lot, but I don't mind the guy here like Justin Watson. Like if he's going to get some targets here as a cheaper guy, all he has to do is get in the end zone here, and you're golden. And we don't know and the thing about this is we don't know which guy's going to get in the end zone. So, and this is also a strategy thing that I think is a good way to go too, because say, for instance, he just throws all his touchdowns to Travis Kelce. You have Travis Kelce in your lineup, but you do have a guy like Justin Watson, and he catches a couple passes. He's cheap. He's cheaper than all these other guys at $3K. I know he's questionable. I'm assuming he's going to play. And he's not costing you that much as far as value-wise, but if he gives you like 5 fantasy points, that could be enough in a tournament to take it down with all your other positions if you have them all right.
Yeah. And again, like you said, it's like playing roulette, but I think you have to. I think you're going to need to ship specifically a GPP. You're going to need the right wide receiver, and it's like, who the hell is it? I mean, I'm still going to go. I look at Kadarius Toney and MVS just because of what they can do with the ball. MVS is like a deep route runner that, for whatever reason, Mahomes just misses him. Like multiple games this year, he's missed MVS on these open down the field streaks. And you would assume they're going to, connect on that at some point. Maybe it's today against like an Eli Apple, who is not that good of a cornerback, to be perfectly honest. Not that MVS is a great wide receiver or anything. And then Kadarius Toney, his snap share is low, but when he's on the field, he gets the football, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like we were just talking about Debo running the ball, and they find all types of ways for Kadarius Toney to get the football. So I don't hate him at 3.7. Justin Watson, again, just one of those guys, like if you only have 3K left, you're building a Mahomes lineup. I'm fine with Justin Watson, but he's been mostly a wind sprinter, like on the field. That's kind of my take on it. And Juju, since he got lit up in that one game, he just hasn't been the same player. But at 4.7, he might not need to score. Juju might catch, 7-8 balls for you today for 80 yards, and he gets there on that 4.7K, tag that he has. So he's the guy that I'm not fading either. It's going to be which wide receiver fits. How do I get him in? I really do like playing Mahomes with like Kelce and McKinnon or something, though, and not even having one of his wide receivers too. But I do think in order to ship a GPP today, you're going to need one. Let's hit on the tight ends real quick. Look, Kelce's the best play on the field of the slate, probably, if he gets there. The problem is for him to get there at 7.8K, he's got to score once, maybe twice. And even to play Kelce, you might have to go double tight end. It's a tough spot. Are you playing Kelce? Are you fading him? What's your game plan here?
I really, 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 really want to play him. I'm going to try to watch also the game before when Cincinnati played him the last time, the last few times, because last game I know they did a really good job of not letting Kelce get loose. So I want to see if they've been doing that every single game that they have played with Kelce here. But he's just the best overall tight end honestly on the slate. But I'm going to try to get at the field with him at least. But I'm going to definitely be more overfield than the second guy that we're going to talk about, which is Hayden Hurst.
Yeah,
I just love Cincinnati today. Like, to me, I think it's just they have so many more reliable options here compared to Kansas City. And their defense is drastically underrated here. So I'm going to ride with Hayden Hurst here, but Travis Kelce also is a phenomenal play and a guy I'm going to have in at least 35 to maybe 40% of my lineup. So I do like other tight ends today.
And Hayden Hurst is popping, right? It's 3K. They're telling you to play this guy. Like, Hayden Hurst might be the play. I mean, you look at the projections here. Everything is like a green color. It's telling you this is the dude to play at 3,000. I'm going to throw a little dark horse here at you. Another guy that I do like for Kansas City, just if you're looking to punt the tight end position completely, just play Noah Gray. I mean, he's one of those guys, you play him at the min price, 2.5K. You might be able to get a touchdown out of him. You might be able to get 60 yards off of 2 or 3 catches as well. He does get targeted here and there. I would not say like start your lineup with Noah Gray, but if you're trying to build heavy wide receiver running back lineup, perhaps Noah Gray is the way to go with that. And I don't think we need to talk about these defenses much. If either fit, that's fine. I'm still on Philly, but I think you can play either of these defenses. And I even think that if you're playing Mahomes, you can play the Bengals defense and vice versa. We see on these short slates all the time, one of the ways to actually get there and win them is if your quarterback is playing against the defense and the defense gets a pick six or some sort of defensive touchdown that presses the quarterback to actually have to play a little bit higher. So I think it's a problem that people still do, where as soon as they grab a quarterback, they feel like they can't play the defense against them. And I think that's just like a giant mistake that people make.
Very big mistake. And if people don't want to play the Bengals, I'll take the Bengals all day. All their signings that they had this offseason were great defensive signings. They are a vastly underrated unit. But I think they can show up big here, and they always have shown up big in the playoffs so far to this point.
Yeah.
So I'm right with them.
And we'll see what happens with Mahomes. So that's going to kind of do it on the 2-game slate. Do you have anything else you want to hit on? Is there any like specific stacks you're looking at, any specific run backs, anything you want to bring up, or do we hit on everything?
I think we definitely hit on everything. I like to take down these tournaments is like you can't go full onslaught, but you might not be able to need to go full onslaught. Just even get a little bit different by running back with 2 guys on the other side might be enough, because those 2 guys can be very unique enough. And also, don't be afraid to play that defense against the quarterback in the same lineup. That could easily get you unique, because all it takes is a pick six, and for that defense to be one of the top scoring defenses on the slate here. And I got Bengals money line and Philadelphia money line. If you do want to, I called this out a couple of weeks ago when my friends were talking about it. If you're in a legal sports betting state, they do allow you to, sports betting states allow you to place the bets on what teams are going to be in a Super Bowl. New York doesn't allow you to do that, but if I could have, I would have definitely put. About 4 weeks ago, I would have put the Bengals and the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you can get that plus money, go get that in now.
Yeah. Make sure on the way out you hit that like button, press that subscribe button. And the one take that you had that I like, that I think people are also scared to do, 2 running backs on the same team. I don't hate putting Mixon and P. Ryan on the same team in a GPP lineup today. Maybe I'm not going to do it in single entry, but I don't even think it's that bad in single entry as well. That's going to do it for myself, Rob. That's going to do it for Drandre. We will catch you next time. Good luck, everybody, today. Catch you later. Peace.